Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Jen, will you take roll call, please?
Commissioner Waldner,
Here.
Commissioner Thill,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Corbett, Mayor Dinner.
Here. That's fine. We have the agenda in front of us.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Under appearance and acknowledgement, we have Eric Folsheim, Executive Director, Lake Area Improvement Corp. Update and 2020 budget request.
Thank you. Just a couple updates. We continue to make a few pieces of progression with respect to housing. Not a whole lot I can talk about publicly at this point, but know that we continue to have meetings with various developers that are interested in some of the activity that's coming to Madison and going on here. And they are thinking about and talking about and working through ways to be active participants in some of that activity. And so we're continuing to have some of those meetings, and those are very positive and good meetings, and so on. So I look forward to progress being made here in the very near future, specifically with both spec home development as well as multifamily housing. So daycare, I feel like I was just here telling you guys about some of this stuff, but daycare, we're actually having a meeting tomorrow with a group that's been very active here in Madison surrounding child care and some of the various pieces of it, both on the daycare side and the after-school program side of things. We've got a nonprofit organization that is a professional in child care, and they're regional here in this area, and they're going to be a part of that meeting. They're also interested in the activity in Madison, potentially see an opportunity here, and so they want to actively look and see if there's a way and a spot for them to fit here in town. So I think when you talk to anybody, as you guys in your group, I'm sure hear a lot about the fact that we do not have a daycare center in town. What I've learned is it's very hard to operate a daycare center in the black if all you're doing is offering daycare. And so there's some ancillary pieces of that puzzle that have to come together, including after-school programs and so on, to help make those numbers work. And so I think there's probably a spot for an organization to come in and be able to offer those pieces, in addition to the programs that are already in place here in Madison, to hopefully get a daycare center here at some point that we can all appreciate. So that's really, I think, all in the last month. I think I was here in early June. So any questions specifically regarding any of that?
Not asking for any more money, so.
No, and so I guess another reason I'm here is obviously to formally request money for our 2020 budget. The numbers that are presented, $140,000 for our general budget, $120,000 for the Forward Madison capital campaign for 2020. Those are both numbers that we've requested in years past. The general budget amount of $140,000 has been the same request since 2007, and that's been the amount that we've been granted. The $120,000 for the Forward Madison 3 is the same amount that we've requested since 2013, and that's the same amount that's been granted as well. So I guess we would just formally ask the commission to consider funding that. And take any questions that you would have for me on that as well.
I guess I don't have a whole lot. Anytime I have questions, I've called you, and you've been very helpful in answering all my questions and everything. So
Sure. And I would just add that I think that, especially since I've come on, I feel like I've had a very active relationship with the city office. I feel like in the short time Mayor Dennert's been on board, we've gotten to interact on a number of occasions, and we've I think seen a lot of growth. In here I did add a couple sheets showing what our industrial park has done since the city gave us the reins back in 2007 to develop that park. At that time, there was only a few buildings out there, and according to an annual survey that we conducted in 2007, there was 170 full-time equivalents out in the park. And as of 2018, there was at least 410 positions. Now, that is simply based on an annual survey that we hand to those various employers out there. We have reason to believe that that number could actually be significantly higher. But I mean, I think if you look at that map, it's pretty evident the amount of growth that we've seen out in that area, and that's obviously great for the community. And we've seen some pretty significant growth population-wise in that time as well.
keep it up.
All right, glad to do so.
I have to go back to the daycare, child care thing
Sure.
for a minute. I don't, came back here and from here in 2098, I guess it was, 99. But anyway, one of the things I always have heard since is that there's a lack of child care providers, okay? And I know a couple of them that I think are excellent providers, so I know the ones that I do know do a great job, In your research project, are you guys as you research this and look at it, are you including current providers on that?
Yeah.
And they're stakeholders.
Well, I had to actually conduct my own research in finding daycare when I moved here a couple months ago. I will tell you that we got very, very lucky from a gal who came very highly recommended that I think if she had it her way, she probably wouldn't have taken us. But she, I think, more or less felt like she was very obligated to take us. I mean, she's full. With our infant, she will have the max number of children that she can have as an individual in her home. And I looked at probably 6 or 7 individual daycares. Some didn't even have capacity for me at the time that I went to look. I just went to look and kind of meet with folks in case something happened to open up along the way. And in my research, I've come to find out too that there are a number of providers in town that are getting near the point that they would like to retire. And I think out of the goodness of their hearts, there's a number of those folks that continue to provide that care, just knowing that their parents depend on them. So
Yeah, and don't misunderstand me. I think what you guys are doing is necessary and good.
Sure.
Just wanted to study the stakeholders, and I think there's plenty of competition, so nobody's going to lose any business here.
Sure.
I just think they might be able to shed some light on this for you, or
Yeah, and we're actually
I'm thinking of 4 license holders right now that we delivered to in the past. And, great daycares, I have no question about their license and everything that it should be. So I was just curious,
And we're actually going to conduct a survey of a number of folks in the workforce here in the coming weeks and months. That will include questions such as, if there was a child care center in Madison, would you consider taking your child there? Would you prefer that? Would you pay a little bit more for that service? There's going to be a series of those questions in that survey that will hopefully kind of tell a little bit of a story of that need. And I think whoever were to come and offer that service, whether that's even somebody here in town or a regional provider or a nonprofit that we're going to be speaking to tomorrow, they're going to want to know that information anyway. So they're not blindly coming into the town and just hoping that what we say is true. They're going to do their research as well. So, yeah.
As the meeting goes on tomorrow, are you going to make sure that they're certified to be daycare?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, first of all, I know that the center that is looking here absolutely is. Yeah, I mean, that would be part of, I don't know how strictly we would have to vet out these organizations. I think it would depend on how well known they are to the region, right? I mean, if it's an organization that operates in a town, nearby, and runs a successful name or business with a good name, obviously those places are very likely certified, and we would make sure that they were. And, I don't think anybody along those lines is trying to pull wool over any eyes or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, absolutely that would be part of the process.
I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah,
but
no, yeah, I mean, that
I
would be
think
part of the
there's a
process.
standard,
Yeah.
I think it's licensure with DSS is probably.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we would just, I mean, we want to, first have those conversations with those providers, and then if it's somebody that, an organization that we're not that familiar with, whether it's just simply they don't operate in the area currently, or maybe it's a new organization, obviously we want to make sure that they're following those correct processes.
thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
We'll move into the consent calendar.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Nothing under unfinished business. We'll move into the new business. Authorize mayor to sign agreement, City of Sioux Falls surplus property auction service. Brad, did you want to
Yes, Mr.
touch
Mayor.
on this, please?
We've discussed the possibility of surplusing some equipment and materials that the City of Madison has that are no longer of use for the City of Madison and disposing them at an auction September 21st in the City of Sioux Falls. They have a kind of a joint auction where they coordinate the auctioneer and they get everything together and they draw a bigger crowd. Gives us an opportunity with a little bit of work to get better money for our surplus materials. And this is the standard, if you will, agreement. There are some provisions of this that we're not over the moon on, but we can live with them in this particular circumstance, if I want to put words in David's mouth here. That it's what we would probably put in an agreement with somebody else, so I can't really blame them for putting it in when they have an agreement with us. So, and the odds of us having some sort of an issue with what is in there, it's an indemnification clause. I can't imagine what that would be that would get us into that circumstance, or we'd need to worry about that with the City of Sioux Falls. Primarily, this is going to be between us and an auctioneer that's going to auction off our stuff. And like all auctions, they have their own responsibilities, and they take, responsibility for giving us the money and all that stuff and going through all that. There will be some fees. The only fee I can't give you an answer on right now is if there was any disposition with the recycling fees. And that's where if we took electronics down there and disposed of them and they didn't sell, they'd have to take them to their recycle center and they'd charge us for that. And I can't tell you what that would cost. There are some things on the list. I don't have a list with me right here in front of me right now because, quite frankly, until we get through this process, there's really no list. And so there are some things that were proposed to be on the list that are things I don't know that we'd carry down there. One of them was some aluminum, scrap aluminum. I don't know why we'd haul scrap aluminum all the way down to Sioux Falls to get the same price we could get here in Madison. So that's something that we'll have to look at, so we don't, just add extra cost to the process.
I think, I don't know if we've done this before ever, but I just know that in my term,
talked about
in my
it.
time, we've talked about it and gathered up all the word what we have and do something about it as opposed to saying, well, next year we're gonna, so I'm looking forward to seeing us being able to maybe divest some of this stuff. And I suppose we probably got just anxious about some, let's throw that aluminum on there too.
The other option that we might be able to do, I have not contacted them, is the DOT does have their own, or the state, Bureau of Administration has their own auction, primarily of DOT vehicles and equipment. They generally charge a little bit more. So I think this is in our best interest if we stick with this one rather than what the state does. The city of Fort Pierre did the ones with the state because it was being held in Fort Pierre. It was pretty convenient. We drove them.
Do they move that around, or is it?
The last I knew, they kept one in there. I think there was 3 places: Rapid City, Fort Pierre, and Sioux Falls. I thought were the 3 locations that they do the state auctions. I could be wrong in that. I know they had one in Rapid City and one in Fort Pierre. I'm not sure if they had one in Aberdeen and Sioux Falls or how many places they had, but I know we had one in Fort Pierre, and we had to drive our stuff a half a mile to get rid of it, so that was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And they took care of the advertisement and all that stuff.
This is with the city of Sioux Falls.
Yes, this is with the City of Sioux Falls. They will contract with another party to do the actual auctioneering. There will be an auctioneer that's hired by the City of Sioux Falls, and then we're just using this is basically a joint powers agreement to allow us to contract the City of Sioux Falls so they can put our stuff on their auction.
Why not? Give it a try.
Yeah.
Watch the dollars. I'll make a motion, we authorize mayor to sign sign agreement with the City of Sioux Falls Surplus Property Auction Services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Brad. We'll move down into number 2, authorize mayor to sign application, Amert Construction permit to occupy right-of-way East Center Street. You want to come up? Being Chad isn't here, he gave me a couple things. Actually, Don contacted me, and between myself and Chad, we got the paperwork going for Don. Basically, he has a construction going on at the Lakeview Towers. Is that correct? And
Signed the contract today.
okay, he wants to stage his semi for storage on. There's diagonal parking in the right of way.
Yeah,
right
on the boulevard.
on
The
west.
boulevard parking area there, right, just to the north of the building.
How many spots can I ask you?
It'll probably
questions?
take up, 6 or 7 spots, something like that.
Okay.
We're gonna try and keep it down toward they've got a driveway at the west end. We can try to keep it right up to that driveway and head it east from there so that we can always have access and we park in front of that.
Maybe about a year. See,
Our
July
contract is
2020.
11 months.
Okay.
And if we're running past about 9.5, the last couple months, it should be the elevator guys in there working. There's 2 parts to the project. It's a rebuild the plumbing stacks in the majority of the building and then refurbish the elevator. And the elevator guys are coming in at the end of the project, and they won't need a trailer. They're just the plumbing guys.
If you're that close to the alley, are people going to still be able to line of
It's
sight
not the
people
alley.
coming out of there?
There's a driveway into a parking area that's
Yeah.
actually part of the high-rise property.
Right.
You got the alley and then that driveway, correct,
that-
Don?
Yeah, I think the alley's a little farther west. isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
so
there's-
you're going to be,
I think there's a separate
I was
driveway
thinking like, yeah, because you got the alley that goes to
straight south. There's
Sportsman's
that-
and straight south, and you can get back there,
Yeah,
and, okay,
a little bit east of that alley.
I gotcha.
think there's a driveway into that parking lot.
gotcha. good.
Just to let you know, Chad also gave his blessing on this. He said he didn't see anything.
A lot easier than hauling it out someplace else and parking it every night, right?
Yep, that's right.
There's no fee with this, is there?
And
Jen?
No.
Excuse me, Don, I'm sorry. There's no fee.
there's, you know, the guys at Lakeview Tower have a skid steer for moving snow, so if it complicates anything that way, they'll take care of that, you know.
And I did talk to Gary. He said that road, they usually don't clean. The towers usually come out and clean the parking, plus they're part of the West Center. So I have talked to Gary about snow removal.
I'll make a motion, we authorize mayor to sign application, Amert Construction, permit to occupy right-of-way East Center Street. And I'm just going to say for 1 year. Jen, do you want any other specific verbiage? And what time
That's
frame
your
do you
motion.
want that to start? Do we need specific dates, or,
August 12th start,
okay,
that's our start date.
we'll give you 1 year from August 12th, how's that?
That'd be great,
Second.
Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further comment, discussion? Not, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, yeah,
You bet.
thanks for
Thank you.
coming in.
Thank you.
Here's done.
We'll move into number 3, adopt resolution number 2019-15, approve a plat, lot 3, block 3, Kearns Edition. Also, Chad, give me some information on this. The planning commissioner has went through this at their last meeting, I think on July 23rd. They were okay on it, giving them a building permit on the highway. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong one here. They went ahead and was okay to give the highway business for that lot there. And Chad was also okay on that.
I'm not sure what that means. Mayor, can you help me?
Yep.
When you say the highway business, what do you mean?
Because
That's the next item.
Ah. Okay.
That's the next item, right? The plat is for lot 3, block 3
Right
of the
there.
current edition.
It is on
Okay.
10th Street,
All right.
sorry.
On the bypass.
Right,
Okay.
on the bypass.
All right.
Yes.
No complications, Chad foresaw.
Nope. Like I said, planning commissioners were okay with it, Chad's okay with it. I was at the planning commissioners there, didn't see any concerns with it.
I make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2019-15, approve a plot, lot 3, block 3, current edition.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further comments, discussion? Not, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Move into number 4, approve first reading and set a date of hearing ordinance number 1612, amend Appendix B zoning HB principal permit use. Again, planning commissioner met on this on the 23rd. They had no concerns with this, for the meat market. The only thing they had was they are allowing smoking is not prohibited, so they're allowing smoking the meats in this area. No one was there to oppose it. And Chad was on board for this one too.
And if
If I-
somebody does oppose it, they have a couple of weeks that
Right.
they can come in and give us a call and let us know.
It's a change in zoning, so tonight you have first reading. We set the date of hearing for 2 weeks from tonight. Yes, so the public will have time to see this in the newspaper and then come visit and or attend the meeting in 2 weeks, of which time you will also have second reading.
I'd make a motion to approve the first reading and set the date of hearing for, what is that?
August 12th.
August 12th. In time, you need a time?
Yeah.
5:30 p.m., please.
5:30 p.m. Amend appendix B zoning, H principal permitted uses, N parentheses.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further comments, discussion? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any public comment?
I didn't see any public here, so I didn't think there'd be any comment.
You're good, go ahead.
Thank you. Any announcements? Not hearing any announcements? Do I have a motion to move into executive session,
So moved.
SDCL 1-25-23?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried.